Hey guys, I'm Scott with Before You Buy, and today we are going to be talking about the Wyze Bolt setup, install, and kind of the initial setup and process of it all. I'm also going to be doing the Wyze garage door controller. That's going to be exciting, so if you're interested in that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's going to be coming right up. But first things first, I had to remove my old Wyze lock. So I had a Wyze lock wrapped around the original deadbolt, and that worked great. And in fact, I have a couple of these. I really love them, and it's easy install when you just want to keep the same look, or you maybe have the same key and you just want to apply a smart lock around it. It's super easy and fantastic. I have videos on that as well. I'll leave down below if you're interested. Then once I had that setup removed, I just followed their instructions, and Wyze is known for incredible instructions, walkthroughs. They have little short snippets of each step of the process so that you can watch the 10 to 15 second video of it. It is incredible. Well done, Wyze. So I ended up having to rotate my lock to make sure that it sets back far enough, because using their little cheat sheet there told me that my lock was deeper than the average. So super easy, you just rotate it, shove it in there. Then I did a test fit, make sure everything was working fine, and you could rotate the lock. So far, so good. Now, when you're installing the back plate, they do actually recommend a second person to come along and hold it, but if you have kind of bigger hands, you can kind of squeeze around, or even the Wyze lock setup actually recommends putting some tape across it. That also works very well to help that back plate, the front actually, stay in place as you install the back plate. Now, I didn't put the screws all the way in just yet, so you can kind of align it. I did not use a level, and I figured I could just kind of eyeball it for now and rotate it later if needed. So now you're ready to add the electronics to this manual lock, which is fun, but don't get overexcited like I did and install the batteries just yet. So I had to pull the batteries back out because that's where the screws are located to attach it to the back plate. So once I figured that out, removed the batteries, installed the plate onto the back plate, so then you can have the controls. You hit the connect button, and now you are ready for the software side of the setup. Once you press that pairing button, it'll kind of kick you off. And for what it's worth, it took me about 10-ish minutes to get to this point. I probably could have gone a little faster if I wasn't doing it on video and tried to stay out of the way of the camera. So first it's going to connect to the lock, and then it connects to the cloud, and then it's kind of sets up and it's done, and it's ready for quick calibration. Now, it's going to have you open the door, turn the lock, close the door, turn the lock, and all of that. And it eventually figures out, somehow, I'm not sure how, you do this about 2 or 3 times, when the door's open and when the door's closed. I don't know how it does that. If anyone else knows, leave a comment down below. Does it use a gyro? How does it know the door is actually physically open? Is there a proximity sensor? Anyway, if you know, please tell me. And then once you've done the calibration, sometimes it might ask you to do it again if it didn't quite catch it properly. You know, if you didn't close the door far enough, or you didn't quite open the door far enough. But if it all goes well, you're ready for your fingerprint setup. It walks you through it just like a phone, right? So it's going to have you move your finger around a little bit. It does it like 8 times. And every time you're supposed to just move it around, right? Now, I will say it's not quite as efficient, or it doesn't read as well as like Apple ID or Samsung, Google, fingerprint sensors. I've had some issues with it, but it's very similar to like the fingerprint sensors that are behind a screen, right? It's definitely reliable and works, but it's just not perfect every time. I don't know how they do it, but Apple ID, it's like nails it every single time. This one, I've had to do it a few times, every once in a while. Not all the time, but it's still kind of new to me. And one little hack that I haven't done yet, but I just thought of, is you can actually add a second fingerprint, right? But then use the same finger, right? So if I use my index finger and I do a second fingerprint, now it looks like maybe you can capture more edges and then more sensitivity on that one fingerprint. So maybe it would actually work better if you could add multiple fingerprints with the single finger. So that might be a little tip. I might try that actually. It's also going to have you create a user code, and then once you've done that, you are done. And you can go back and you can create rules around it, just like all the other Wyze devices. Do you want it to auto lock? Different things like that. You can add more users, and the cool thing is you add a user, right? So let's say I add Scott. I can add fingerprints, I can add codes, I can say when, is it always available, only available during certain times. So this is pretty fantastic actually. I really love that. Then in the history, right, it's going to show you when it was locked, when it was unlocked, and who unlocked it, who, it doesn't know who locked it per se, but that's pretty cool, right? So I always have mine set to auto lock after so many minutes, right? So if someone goes out the door, it's gonna lock right behind them. And that for me has worked very well. I don't have to worry about, did my kids leave the door unlocked again? That's where the smart devices can come in handy, right? There's now obviously the flip side, some security concerns. Now this one doesn't even have a key. Well, what do you think about that? Let me know down in the comments down below. And if you're looking for a deadbolt that is relatively cheap at only $80, I mean, you get a whole deadbolt and keypad and fingerprint sensor for $80? That's Wyze, you've done it again. You come out with products that are worth it, I believe, for great value. Now, if you want to keep your old lock because you like the look or you have a certain key or whatever that looks like, you can use the Wyze Lock, which is what I had before, and I was able to move that to another deadbolt in my house. So now I just have a bunch of locks and a bunch of bolts. Tell me what you guys think for this product. Is it worth it? Is it for you? Do you like the key option? Do you like the no key option? Leave them down in the comments down below. Until next time, thanks for watching. See ya.